Welcome to Relics Radio, your favorite weekly podcast dedicated to the metal detecting and treasure hunting community. Here are your hosts, Ken from Adventures in Dirt and Tony from 5280 Adventures.
Howdy, howdy. What's up, buddy?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to another episode of Relics Radio.
Wednesday night here.
Wait, another Wednesday night. There we go.
Another
Wednesday night.
Both of us in Colorado. I'm up north.
Yep.
Tony's down south.
I'm to the south, and yeah.
It's going to be a good night. I was looking forward to this one. You know, it's taken a lot.
Yeah.
You and I have put a lot into the show. Probably more than we've put in a while, just because we wanted to make sure we had some stuff prepared and
absolutely
pictures and sound bites and videos and different stuff, and also interacting with all that. We have tons of guests coming on with us tonight. If you guys are going to hang out with us, you're going to have a great time, just a great time. So,
and we want to be real active in the chat tonight too, guys. So if you're watching us live, please make as many comments as you want, bring up stories, talk about things, interact with each other, and we'll throw just what we can up on the screen. Maybe it'll spark a memory from somebody, and we'll talk about Loy and the community and everything. So definitely gonna have a good time tonight.
Right.
I think
first, go ahead. You think what?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say first, we just start off with a little bit of history. You know, some of you might be joining us for the first time, or maybe even the replay later on audio. You know, Loy Milam started Relics Radio back we're almost in our 9th season. So 2017, something like that.
November 2nd, 2017.
Yeah. Him and Tennessee Jeff started Relics Radio as a metal detecting treasure hunting podcast. Tony and I loved it right off the bat. I think Tony and I were both asked to be guests in that first season. We talked about it. We were both just tickled pink to be asked to be guests on the show. And it was amazing. That was sort of our first, personal contact with Loy. Used to watch his videos all the time at Digging with 7. If you've never watched his videos, I encourage you to go over and check that out. But roughly 2020, I think Tennessee Jeff wanted to take a little break, kind of step away for a little bit. Loy came and asked me if I would join him as his co-host. I came on. We did that for a little while. Then Loy wanted to take a break a bit and kind of let me run with it. And of course, my digging buddy, Tony, I had to bring you over, right? It was pretty natural.
2021.
Just to bring you over. And then soon after that, Loy just said, it's your guys' show. Go ahead and take it and run with it. And we are completely honored to do that and try our best. As I keep going back and listen to the old episodes, and I encourage you to also go to anywhere you get your podcasts and look up Relics Radio. And you're going to have about 9 seasons of back podcast shows all the way back to 2017. You can listen to all these great guests that Loy and Jeff had on, and I encourage you to do that.
Well, actually, I've got a little clip here that's going to bring back some memories. Let's go all the way back to November of 2017 right here.
All right.
Here we go.
Here we go. Our very first podcast, and we already have Larry. We've got Gordon on, and we're going to have Keebs on here in just a moment. We certainly do appreciate you tuning in.
We sure do.
To the very first Relics Radio. I'm your co-host, Digging with 7.
And then I'm your next one, Tennessee Jeff.
That's right. And we're going to have the Keebler on. We're going to be on for an hour tonight, thereabouts. If things get to going real good, well, we're going to, we may extend that just a little bit. Got a little treat for you at the end of the show tonight from Keeps. And speaking of Keeps, are you there?
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Oh, I hear you loud and clear.
That's good. How you doing, Keeps?
Oh, good. Well, I've been sitting over here at the hotel that you gentlemen graciously provided for me. I spent the day down in the hair salon getting my hair done, my nails done. I waited for the limousine, and here I am. The limo picked me up, and voila.
Well, hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Man, there you go.
How is that?
2017 with Keebs from the Stealth.
I got to tell you though, things have changed. We don't house the guests anymore. We don't do their hair for them. We're low budget now. I mean, when they started this, they definitely had some budget.
Yeah. They might get a Diet Pepsi if they're lucky. We'll see. We'll see how we stock the green room tonight.
Oh
yeah,
man.
That was a great throwback, boy. I tell you what, it's been a lot of podcasts since then. And, just hearing his voice again from way back then. And
yeah,
he was really consistent. I can't wait to talk about him tonight. It's going to be a fun night. So we got a number of guests showing up with us. I know we want to get to them pretty quick tonight. I want to say hello to everyone in the chat. Thanks for joining us tonight. Post your questions, post your memories. We'll throw them up. Similar to this, you guys, just be watching for your comments to go up on the show, and we're looking for them. So please feel free to share it. Your thoughts, memories of Loy as we continue this night. We'll go as long as we want to go tonight. I don't know when we'll end, but hope you hang in there with us. We got a special thing for you at the end of the show tonight. But what do you say?
Yeah, actually, we're going to do that transition into the guests, right?
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
We're gonna.
We should.
Yeah, we got a special treat that we wanted to make sure that we show a couple times tonight. So we're going to do one at the beginning, and then we're going to end the show with it as well. Yeah. So you ready to jump into that?
We can. And right after this special word from Loy, we'll bring all of our guests in that are in the show so far. Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Our Father and our God in heaven, we get so excited when we open your book. Excited because of the power we see in those words. Excited because we see the answers in those words. Excited, Father, for we realize that we have very little, if any, control over our physical lives. We can go to our doctors. We can take our medication. We can go through the exercises that they want us to go through. But, Father, eventually, it's going to be you making the decision as to how long that we physically live upon this life. But here is another thing, Father. We join with you in a decision as to how long we will live in eternity with you. We help make that decision by the decisions that we make in this life. They are hard decisions sometimes. It's hard many times for us to maintain our faith, to keep our equilibrium in a world that is so confusing sometimes. So, Father, we ask for greater faith, greater strength. Be with us. Forgive us any sin that might separate us, so that you might even hear this prayer we offer here tonight. For we offer it in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Yeah. Hey, welcome everyone. So everyone's joining us tonight. We have Larry in the upper corner there. Larry, how are you? Okay. Bill Hayes, of course. Bill, how are you? Good to see you. Mark Hoover's joining us tonight. Hello, Mark. And Tennessee Jeff, you just heard him from the first podcast there a minute. Thanks for joining us, Jeff. And Butch Holcomb, publisher, American Digger Magazine. How you doing, Butch?
I'm doing good, everybody.
Great to see everyone. Thank you for spending some time with us to remember Loy. And, that prayer from Loy, when I heard that, that came from the last podcast he released on his Common Sense Bible Talks podcast that he did. That's how he ended that podcast. And when I heard it, I thought, well, that's pretty fitting to we'll start and end the show with that, because he was a man of faith, right? Tennessee Jeff, he
sure was. He was a shepherd. He was a shepherd for me and his family. I wish I had known what I had at the time. And you're talking about the prayer that he just spoke. Actually, at his own funeral, he had a message for everyone. He knew that his time was coming soon, and he wanted everyone to know to stay close to Christ. That's the only way that we're going to get to heaven. These relics we find, they're nothing. I mean, like Butch and most of the rest of us, we have bullets. At the end of the day, them bullets, plates, they mean nothing. And thank goodness that I was around Loy. He brightened everybody's day that he was around.
He really did. He really picked everyone up. I don't know how many times him and I talked. I never met Loy, I never dug with him. I never even met him face to face except for here on these videos. And but we talked a lot, and he always was the kind that would just lift people up. Mark Hoover, you spent a lot of time with Loy. Tell us about your involvement with Loy and kind of how long you've known him.
Well, I was like most people in that I listened to the podcast like everybody else, and got an opportunity to speak to Loy and also to Jeff. And what most people don't know is that most of my involvement with the Relics Radio was booking the guest for about 2 years. And what I would do is he would give me a suggestion, Jeff would give me a suggestion, and then I'd call him. And that was actually a real blessing for me, because I'd met a lot of people that way. And then I would do a pre-interview, and Jeff and Loy would interview them on the radio. But then my family and I got to spend a week with him and his family in Kentucky.
Oh,
and I got to tell you, we talk about Loy, but you got to give a lot. Rayna, his wife, is just an angel on earth. His whole family is just real sweet. They're very gracious. And we just love getting to know Rayna, his wife. And I want to add something to what Jeff just said. That message that Loy, preached, and no telling how many people's lives he influenced. And, everybody on here, he's influenced all of our lives.
Amen.
But what the beautiful thing is? We'll get to see not going to get out of this world alive. So the real question is, where are you going to go when you pass over? And Loy knew where he was going. And I had my assurance of salvation, and I look forward to seeing Loy one day on the streets of gold. So, it was a real blessing to know him and be able to spend a little bit of time with him.
Yeah, I know that. I wanted to talk to you about that, Mark. Maybe hiring you to book guests for us.
I'm not doing that anymore.
That is a pretty big task. I know from experience. Yeah. You did a great job. You guys go back and look at Relics Radio over the years. You're going to see just a tremendous amount of very unique guests that they've had on. When I go back and look, it just blows my mind, Now, did you go, where's this picture from, Mark? This picture's from.
Yeah, so this is from 2019. We were at one of Butch's antique shows, and I believe this one was in Chattanooga. Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
Charleston.
Was that Charleston?
Oh, this was in Charleston. Yeah, so we, Jeff and Loy and I met in Charleston, and Loy and Jeff set up and did some interviews there. And after the show, we actually went out and hunted on the beach there. And Jeff, I found a picture of you holding up a 50 caliber bullet in the beach. I don't know if you remember that, but
I got it set up metal.
Wow, 50 cal.
Apparently, they use that area as a testing range for the military to do that. Hey, before I forget, I want to say something else. Just, I hope you don't mind. Butch posted earlier. I think Butch, your brother-in-law, Anita's brother, passed away.
Yes, he passed away this morning. So it's like you say, Martin. Nobody gets out of here alive. And every time I had a friend leave this earth a few weeks ago, in fact, you only have this moment. So hug your loved ones, tell them they're loved, enjoy your time with friends, enjoy whatever you do, because this is it. You don't know if you're going to be on this earth another 10 years or another 10 seconds. And, you got to get right with the Lord too, so you'll know where you're going. But I tell you, Anita's brother-in-law passed away, and he wasn't that old. He was 7 years older than me. Mm. And he's a Vietnam vet. He actually had some asbestos damage, I think, from working on ships. But
yeah,
Our condolences.
We miss them all when they leave. We just,
Of course.
and Loy, it's like I was out of the loop, and as close as I was to Loy at one time, I didn't realize how sick Loy was until I heard he passed, and it was like, wow, I didn't get to say goodbye to him. So say your good, don't say your goodbyes. Just love people while you got them.
Yeah, absolutely. And our condolences. Our condolences for your family.
Yeah,
surrounding your brother-in-law for sure. I read that. It had me thinking about my own family, and in fact, I haven't called my brothers recently. And isn't it a shame that it takes something like that to poke you and wake you up and make you call those people that you don't talk to? So everyone in the chat, make sure tomorrow or tonight, call those family members, man. Tell them you love them. You're thinking of them.
Yeah. They'll
appreciate it. It'll brighten their night, brighten their day for sure. Well, yeah, I mean, Loy was a private man. He was a pretty private guy. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if like Tennessee Jeff. I mean, don't you think like he had so many things going on and he cared so much for other people. I get the feeling like he didn't want to let a lot of people in on that. You know what I mean?
Well, he didn't let me know he was in the nursing home. He said he was in a rehab place. It was the week before 4th of July. I called him, talked to him, and he said, well, I'm here for another 15 days. Then I'm going to Vanderbilt for 30 days. And I'm like, and of course, at this time, he was telling me he couldn't walk. And I was like, Loy, you've been in that bed for that. I said, I know that had to be the worst thing for him.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Yeah. So come to find out, it was a nursing home, and I don't know. He wanted me to remember him the way he was, and not sick and feeble.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, when I held his hand when he was in hospital at home, this was the day before he passed, or maybe 2 days before he passed. He could hear every word you were saying, but he couldn't respond.
Oh, man.
And I was holding his hand, and saw the little girl was kissing his arm, and then I said, "Buddy, I'll see you again," and pat him on the chest, and he got out. And that was the last time I seen him alive. Of course, I mean he went peaceful. He went peaceful. They had to give him a little morphine and another hospice drug, but just to calm him down for a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's the way it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do take care of them in hospice for sure. I've had my mom pass and my grandmother pass as well in that same situation. So
my mother passed.
Peaceful.
Yeah, my mother passed in hospice, and I took care of her and my mother-in-law also. And so I had dealings with hospice before.
Those hospice people are very special, man. They do a great service for us and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and Mark, you were with you booking the guests. Can you remember who you think was a really good get for you as far as a guest, and then how it turned out? Does one stand out?
Well, let me just say this. When I would call somebody for the first time, I was introducing myself in the show, and a lot of them had already seen the show or heard about the show, and it was really more of just, hey, I'm calling you to see if you'll be on the show, and then I like to do a pre-interview and then share that with Loy and Jeff so they would know what questions to ask them. Every one of those conversations, I really enjoyed that. It was a lot of work, but I really enjoyed that conversation. I do remember one, and I want to see if Jeff remembers this, but we had a guest, Arizona treasure hunter. Jeff, you remember him? He was telling us stories about survival out in the Arizona desert. And he had some of the wildest stories I've ever heard.
Was he the one talking about the what are they called?
Yeah, the skinwalkers.
Yeah, skinwalkers. Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's a great podcast. Then that kind of changed we went from relic hunting to skinwalkers.
Yeah, he had some great stories. I'll just tell you, I'll share one with you just real quick. He was a survivalist. He was an army vet, not that old, but he had some really, really good relic hunting experiences where he got some amazing permissions, but he was also a survivalist. Like if he left, he might not come back for a couple of weeks. And so he said he told his girlfriend one time he was going to go out in the desert and look for some relics, and he came back a month later and she was gone.
Whoops.
She wasn't around anymore.
3 weeks instead of 4, I guess.
Yeah. Wow.
But that was one of the more memorable ones that I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Now, Larry, you've been out detecting with Loy quite a bit. How long had you been detecting with Loy?
Honest to God, I don't really know the very first year. But not very long. I mean, I whatever the date, the equinox is about. That was whenever that came out. That was about when I started. So I did not. I had a Tesoro Mojave was my primary machine when I actually met Loy. But I lived, I don't know, 15, 20 miles north of Loy, and I only knew him through his Digging with Seven videos, and I reached out to him, and he said, "Hey, come on down and hunt with me." So that's how I got to know him, and we became extremely good friends. And I've known about his diagnosis from pretty much from day one. He did not want anyone to know about it.
Yeah. Must have been fun digging with him all those years. I tell you, I would have loved it.
I knew. I started off like a lot of us did. I guess digging pull tabs. That was parks and schools and things along those lines. And it was. And Jeff knows his location well. The very first place we went was the place called 44 Woods.
44 Woods.
44 Woods.
I don't know how many Colt 44 pistol lead bullets has been found in there, Jeff. I mean, probably at least 500 if I had to guess.
Plus. And it was him and his friend Mike. They first found that spot, and then of course they went in with lawnmower. Well, he went in with a lawnmower and a machete and weed eaters, and they cleaned a lot of it up. And it was unreal how many 44s that they found. And I would love to get up there and take maybe an inch off the top of the Celina, and I guarantee there's that much more. I guess they were crates. They brought in a bunch of crates of Colt 44s, and then they were just scattered everywhere. It was unreal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in every variety you could think of. I mean, it's not just one type. I mean, there's you can pretty much, if it was everything from the round ball to every different shape, size you can think of. Not one type. And I guess to add to that location, it was also, this is a tough one, gang. It was the last place that Loy went to hunt. I got to share it with him.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I think you sent us some pictures of the finds from that hunt.
I did.
Tony, can you pull those up?
I don't have those. I'm sorry.
Oh, you don't have those? Okay.
Apologies.
Oh, you don't have that or the big chunk of silver?
Give me a second.
They're still here on my desk.
Give me a second here.
I sent them on Messenger to you. Bill Hayes.
Yeah.
So are you still having sound issues, Bill?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is it still echoing on you?
Yeah.
So
I'm still getting a whole. I get about 3 or 4 people talking at the same time.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. It might be the difference between your earbuds and the sound coming out of your computer.
Very possible.
When you talked, how about that? Does that sound better? Does that kill the echo? Now you can't hear it.
Now you can't hear us at all.
Right.
Yeah. The earbuds.
Butch, had you ever had a chance to dig with Loy?
Trying to think. I don't think I ever actually dug with Loy, but I had, so many encounters with Loy because he was our co-host and producer on Relic Roundup for, I don't know, several years, maybe 3 years, 4 years. And also he was a columnist in American Digger magazine. He did the water detecting column.
Yeah.
And, and he would come to the shows and we would do live broadcast out of the shows. I'm talking about the American Digger, Chattanooga and Charleston shows. And there's just, I don't know. I still can't believe Loy's gone. And like I say, somehow I got out of the loop and I didn't even realize Loy was sick until suddenly passed away. So I'm still kind of in shock over this whole thing. But all I can say is he was one of the kindest and most giving people I think I've ever been around. And his faith was so great, but yet he wouldn't go around preaching to people per se unless they wanted to hear it. He just, he respected people's space and we had a thing on Relic Roundup last night honoring Loy, and all of us at one point or another teared up on there.
Yeah.
And one of the things that impressed me about Loy that most people didn't know is I'm a lifelong guitarist and wannabe musician because it's my hobby. But I knew Loy was a musician too, and we got to talking one time, and he said, "Well, I took lessons from Buddy Holly," and I thought he was joking about it. He actually took guitar lessons from Buddy Holly.
Wow.
And that's
he's got a lot of those stories. A lot.
Oh yeah. And one of the funniest things we ever talked about, we were talking about his music, and he had sold some of his music to, like, I guess, a service, that then in turn sells them to other channels or whatever. And he had recorded one song. He said he was listening to a TV commercial one night, and he's like, "That sounds familiar." Well, it was his song. And then he says, suddenly I started getting really afraid because I had no control where my songs ended up. He said, "I just hope they're not on some dirty video somewhere." So that was kind of always the joke, is Loy, you can't help it if they are.
Yeah.
Great guy, one of the best producers we ever had on the show. It was him that actually did the math and let us know how many listeners we had over a year's time. And it blew all of our minds because Loy was very talented in so many ways.
He was, he was, and he was very particular too. Like I remember when he brought me on as a co-host, I was so honored, and that first show I showed up for. And before we did that show, he made me try out 4 different microphones so he can make sure the one that sounded the best.
Well, my understanding is he had a background in radio and production as well. So the guy did everything.
He did.
Plus, he was a heck of a fisherman.
Yeah, he looked like it.
Loy lived a full life on this earth, and I know he's living in paradise now. So I'm glad for Loy. I'm sad for our loss, but I'm glad that Loy's in a great place.
Yep.
Now.
Amen to that.
Absolutely.
Amen to that. Hey, I want to welcome Matt Gone Digging in with us tonight. Jeff Ford, Plugmaster. Good to see you. Jeff,
man.
Is that all fixed up? All right. Good deal. Matt, how are you, buddy?
Am I in?
Yes,
Yes. You're in. You're live.
Okay, good. I want to make sure I don't pick my nose.
Well, you pick your friends, but you know how that goes.
Don't wreck that tractor, man. Don't wreck that tractor you're in. Matt, how are you, buddy?
It's been a while since I've seen all these smiley faces, Jeff.
Man, you've lost a lot of weight or something. I don't know. You look different from the sticker on the back of the truck.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. I don't know.
He lost weight. I found weight. It all balances out.
It's that new LT position I think is wearing on him. He's losing all the
it's
weight.
pulling me down. Mr. Ford, it's a pleasure to see you this evening. Bill Hayes, DK, Larry, of course, the illustrious Mark Hoover.
Yeah.
What would it be a Relic Radio without him?
Yeah.
Yep.
He made a lot of guests. So.
I was trying to recruit him already. I'm going to continue to try to drop little hints at Mark.
Yeah,
you did a great
by
job.
the way,
man.
that guy I was talking about, his name is Cody Drake. Cody Drake was the Arizona treasure hunter. So if you ever want to get him on,
Cody Drake. All right.
Let me know and I'll see if I can arrange it. But he got some great stories. And talking about stories.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Loy was one of the best storytellers I've ever heard. I mean, he could tell some stories. Now, whether they were true or not, I don't know. But, I mean, he could tell a story. But he was full of wisdom and wit like anybody I've never met.
Did he ever tell you the story, Mark, about the sandwiches his grandmother used to make him?
Yes. You should tell the story, Butch.
Go ahead. I'll get it wrong. But.
One of you two, go for it. I got to hear it now.
Go ahead, Butch. I don't know if I can remember it.
I just heard it once from him, and then I saw somebody mention it on the chat. But now, whether this is true or not, I don't know. But it seemed like he was always asking his grandmother, and correct me if I'm wrong, folks, but for a sandwich. So he says that she made a tuna sandwich, and when he ate it, it wasn't tuna, and he swears it was cat food. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. Only Loy knows that. He was laughing when he said it, but every time I see cat food, I think of Loy now.
Oh no!
Well, he would send him to the store to get cat food, and he realized, well, you don't have a cat, and then, of course, then he's like, the sandwiches were pretty good, he said.
Well, we're talking about a story, right? I couldn't remember it for sure because it was just kind of a passing thing. Oh my gosh!
We're talking about a man here that took his relic brush at DIV, and he'd lost his regular toothbrush, and he cleaned his relic brush up real good and brushed his teeth with it.
I didn't know that one.
It tastes just like the water, Butch. I mean, that's
you can't make it up. I tell you what, Loy was a living legend, and I think we're just now starting to. Well, we kind of realized it when he was alive, but we're really going to realize it now because his videos, everything he made, they're still on the internet, so we can go in and get a taste of what Loy was like. But what a guy!
You guys do know that he was a minister of a church,
right?
Yes, absolutely, he was.
Now, one of our diving videos on Dale Hollow is there's a rattlesnake on the bank, and everybody's kind of freaking out over this rattlesnake is going through there. And I'm trying to get him to pull the boat over there where I can get to it. He said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to catch that snake." He said, "No, you're not going to see. Just land. I'm going to give it to you so you can take it to church." He said, "Get on this boat."
Get on this boat.
Oh, I already had my stick. I was going after it, man.
Loy had a lot of faith, but Loy had a lot of common sense too. That's all I can say.
A question that keeps coming up.
What about the helicopter door? I saw somebody.
There you go.
Yeah. Somebody tell about the helicopter door he was after.
Well, I can tell the story about it as much as we know. I mean, there was a guy they had the helicopter doors latched to the bottom or strapped to the bottom of the helicopter, and I don't remember exactly what they were doing at Dale Hollow, but one of them blew off and went into the lake. So we went and looked for it. But we didn't have we spent made a lot of bubbles looking for it, but it was couldn't see it on on any of the radar. Or
there was a healthy reward for that, from what I understand.
Oh yeah,
I heard there was.
Yeah, we gave it our best shot, but we failed.
Everyone always asks that question. What about that? What about that door? So Bill Hayes, you've been listening to the show since day one.
Yes.
You were on there that first episode. You have been just such a committed listener, supporter. You've been on the show a few times. I'm sure you got a lot of memories of listening to shows and listening to Loy and Jeff. And what do you got to say about all these years of being around Loy?
Yeah, I just, you know, what really got, you know, he was a real storyteller, you know, really got into the 5 Mile Holler deal.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
all the, you know, it's just like every Wednesday or Thursday night there, you would, you get a whole, you know, start with the stories coming out of 5 Mile Holler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It almost made it sound like a magical place, you know, like as a listener, you'd be like,
right.
I don't know where 5 Mile Holler is, but it sure sounds wonderful. And someday I want to visit there.
Oh, it's a nice place.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've been there.
Yeah. I think Mark's been there too.
I have been, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, Matt,
I didn't have a spirit move me, but you know, I can at least tell the story. I made it. I survived.
We didn't run from Copperhead today, so.
Larry, I'm gonna get back.
No, that was the day me and Loy, we got into using our AT Pros without our headsets, and sure enough, I mean, we were at the very end of it, and of course we were running into mason jar lids, and it's where he found his first large scent, and of course, next thing you know, I heard something coming off the hill, and of course I looked, and it was a coyote, and they heard our detectors going off and thought they were a bunch of turkeys or something, and I was like, hold on a minute, and then, but yeah, it's a very nice place. Now I never did have anybody touch me, but then
technically it was a couple turkeys.
But we need rim shots with Jeff on board. We got.
I know, right?
All right, Mr. Bring me a bunch of display cases busted up.
Mine is too.
Yeah.
It was a good effort. Can I tell a story?
Absolutely. Anybody jump in? Yeah.
So I got to tell you, the first time I ever met Loy, I knew nothing of Seven. I knew nothing of Tennessee Jeff. And the first time I ever went to DIV, I was, trying to learn that GPX machine, and about like all the other ones, I think that was the first time Loy had one. And I'm coming across the field and headed up to this hillside, and this old fellow walks over to me and he said, "You find anything?" I said, "Well, I found a few bullets, and how about you?" And we got to talking, and pretty soon we were up to someone's pickup. Butch, I think it might have been yours. Someone's pickup was parked up there, and we just parked on that tailgate for a little bit, and we just talked and talked and talked. And I thought, well, you know what? I paid quite a bit of money to hunt out here, and I probably ought to quit quit talking. But the two of us, I don't know why we clicked so well then, and we continued to talk. I mean, repeatedly over the years, and came out and hunted with him and Jeff. I think once, maybe twice. I can't remember. All I remember is Jeff bringing a snake up or something. That wasn't good. But I tell you what, we formed a friendship, and we talked. We talked on the phone fairly regularly. And, and we talked a lot about spiritual stuff too. I'll be honest, when I had questions, I'd call him and get his opinion on it. And whenever COVID hit and they were doing their podcasts, I listened to them all the time. I'd get my family and we would sit down and we would listen to, whatever book he was going through at the time. Him and a couple other guys shared it. And so, that part of it is probably more meaningful than the detecting to me. But we had a good time. We really did have a good time. In fact, the first time I went out there and we were hunting, and if you're hunting with someone that's got an AT Pro and they don't use the headphones, it's hard for you to focus on your headphones and what you're listening to, because they have it turned up so loud, you can hear it in the next county. And it was. I told him, I said, "Loy," I said, "you're missing targets." And he goes, "Well, how you know that?" I said, "Well, because you got no headphones on and the wind's blowing." And he kind of looked at me. And so anyway, we played around for a little bit, and I followed up right behind him, and I dug a target. And of course, we can't tell him. I never did tell him, but there was no target that I got. It was in my pocket, and I pulled out a quarter just to make a point that you're missing targets. And he goes, "Well, I'll be." just like that. I said, "Well."
Yeah.
I wanted him to shut that thing up so I could hunt.
Hey, speaking of Jeff Bubmaster Ford, we got a quick word from our sponsor here. We'll be right back.
I wonder when they're going to get that.
We're looking good in our new Relics Radio t-shirts.
Yeah. Ken and Mark Guthrie of Detectives.com done brung them to us.
Yep. And they makes other shirts, too.
Yeah, boy. Detectives.com can handle tees for your club, hunt, or any other promotion folks may have.
They even got the Wide Pride shirts.
Yeah, them boys does the manatee crawl.
Yeah, scooting on their bellies.
That's what I said. The manatee crawl.
Looks like slugs eating jelly.
So whether you hunt horizontal or vertical, tell the folks where they need to go, TJ.
www.detectives.com.
What a throwback.
That's been forever.
That was amazing right there. That was amazing.
Was it amazing? I tell you what, guys.
Hang on,
ad came to me at 2:00 in the morning while I was asleep. I don't know why, and the text part of it is. But Plugmaster Ford, Jeff Ford, is the voice behind all of those.
There you go.
There you go.
So I got to tell you a story about this. So, okay, those voices were the ones that I used. I did a bad lip reading. Well, let me tell you the whole story. I came out with the first bad lip reading that I did, and they were just stupid videos where I went in and pulled people's video, deleted their audio, and then tried to read their lips and make it goofy. And I put the first one out, and I'm at work, and Loy calls. And I answered. I said, "Hey, what are you up to?" And he goes, "You ain't right in the head." And I said, "What?" And he goes, "Boy, I just watched that video. You ain't right in the head." And I said, "Well, I can't argue that." But so after that, Mikey and I are staying in a hotel somewhere. Might have been someone else with us. We were detecting somewhere, and Loy calls me, and he goes, "I'm going to text you over a script, and I need this audio." And I go, what are you doing? He goes, "I got an ad that I'm doing for Detectives, but I can't, I only have one voice, and I don't like to hear it," is what he said. I said, "Well, I can understand that." He goes, I want you to do these other voices." And by this time, my second bad lip reading video had come out that had Jeff and Loy in it. And so I said, okay. And so he sends me the script over, and I'm reading it, and I'm sitting there going, how am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to read this script? How's he going to record it? And it's going to sound any good when I'm doing it from my hotel room on my phone. And he said, I called him. I said, "Loy, how are you going to make this sound good?" And he goes, "You just let me handle that." I said, okay, all right, I'll let you handle it. And so anyway, we got done with it. And I said, "Is that okay?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Who wrote that?" And he said, "Well, I did." And I said, "Boy, you ain't right in the head." He said, I agree. But let me tell you about the second bad lip reading that I did that had the rapping duo in it. And so that he gave me so much grief about the first one. I was like, "Oh, there's no way. You got to be in the second one." And I spent more time on that clip than I did any of the other clips, any of them.
You guys all familiar with what he's talking about? That bad lip reading video? Have you guys seen him? Yeah. I'd like to show a sample of it if you're okay with it, Jeff.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but first I want to say hello to Jason Quarterhoarder. Thanks for joining us.
I was also the recipient of a Jeff Ford bad lip reading.
Yeah.
Was there anybody who was safe? Let's be honest.
Yeah, I don't think so, boy. I was watching him again, pulling clips for the show tonight, and it was so much fun going back listening to old shows with Loy. Just hearing that voice again, it just brought me back. Seeing Tennessee Jeff, looking at old videos of his to pull clips and photos from, and then Plugmaster's bad lip readings, and even reliving those commercials with Ken and Mark Guthrie's detectives. That was just so much fun. But Tony, let's roll that video of Loy and Jeff doing a little rapping for us.
Yo, I don't want to hurt nobody, but we've been axed more than once.
Mm-hmm.
We actually started rapping as a duo.
Yep.
Back a few years ago, but just never really have shared it with anybody. But the time has come.
Yeah, boy.
Why don't you set these fools straight?
Yeah, 7. These folks gotta know what time it is.
Yup. Yo, I'm the S to the E, the V-E-N. My homeboy TJ is my bestest friend. That's all I could come up with right now. I don't even know where I'm at or who this guy is.
Great job.
I got to tell you. So I put that video out, and I don't know what time of the morning or when I put it out. And those of you that know where I live know that I live in the middle of nowhere. And now cell service is a little bit better now, but it really sucks in the summer because the leaves block the. Anyway, so I have Loy saved in my phone. And when it rings, it says Loy Milam. I don't know if I was just in a bad area. I'm almost to my house and my phone rings and it's got a number, but it doesn't say Loy Milam. So I answer, hey, this is Jeff. And all I hear, I've never heard Loy laugh like this. All I hear is Loy just laughing and laughing. I still don't know who it is. Okay. This guy's just laughing and laughing and laughing. And then I hear him say, yep. And he just continues laughing and he keeps on going and going. And finally I was like, I think this is Loy. And I'm looking at my phone. I'm going, no. Anyway, he finally gets done laughing. And he goes, it took me 5 minutes to get past Jeff saying, yep.
Yeah.
He said I'd start laughing, and he goes, I couldn't hear any of the rest of it, so I'd have to back it up again. I'd do it again, and it was hilarious. He laughed. I guarantee you, he laughed for 3 minutes before I knew who it was. All I could hear was laugh. Yep. He just, it was hilarious. That's one of my fondest memories.
What'd you think about that, Tennessee Jeff? Because you were kind of the brunt of that. Yep. I know that. I used to think it was one of the funniest parts.
All the time.
Yeah, after that, I'd done it on the show. I mean, I just continued doing it like, yep. And then, of course, it was hilarious. I mean,
Jeff, I know he called you, Jeff. Was he laughing like that when he called you?
Oh, of course he was. I mean, I knew who I was talking to, but he kept on laughing and laughing. I think he called me after you, but I mean, he was still laughing. And of course, I finally seen it. Then we both started laughing, and then of course it went on for. I mean, but that was a great video, and I mean, honestly, I haven't seen that in a long time, and it brings back a lot of memories, buddy. And you done great on both of them.
You really did.
No, thanks. I tell you what, I enjoyed doing that so much that I revisited another one later in the series and did a part 2 where Jeff got to freestyle a little bit. But you know, when I went into making that video, most of the time I have no idea what I'm going to do. But when I went into that one, I thought, okay, country boy preacher, country boy Tennessee Jeff. I'm going to go complete opposite. They're going to be gangster rappers. That's what I'm going to do. And then the hardest part was getting it to work. And if you know, Jeff and Loy didn't really like putting the camera on themselves for very long. And I could find short clips, but not enough to do. And I finally found when they started doing those tailgate tailgate shots that they went long enough, and I thought, okay, here's my chance. So that's how the whole thing was birthed.
Yeah, amazing job, Jeff. Amazing.
Yep.
Shoot. Matt, how are you doing, buddy? Good.
I'm good. I'm good, guys. I'm just enjoying sitting here and listening to the to the conversation.
You had a lot of contact with Loy over the years.
Yeah, I did. For me, a lot of things were kind of inseparable. And I think Jeff probably feels the same way a little bit. I talked to Loy a lot, but it was always Loy and Jeff. It was always a question of how one was doing without the other and stuff like that. And it's for me, for what most people don't know is these two gentlemen are a big portion of why I started doing metal detecting videos. Their inspiration, the quality of video that they put out, and then it's funny. I don't know if anybody ever watches YouTube videos and thinks of people on this pedestal, but Jeff and Loy were those people on the pedestal. So when I got to meet Jeff Ford, and then I heard, oh yeah, I heard Digging with Sevens here at DIV, and they're in Virginia. I was like, man, these guys are my heroes, because they were the dudes that I related to the most. So
yeah, it's interesting, right? Yeah, hang in there, buddy. You're good. We're all ready. We're all prepared. We're good.
Yeah.
Now, what year do you remember, Matt? Do you remember what year that was? Because the year I met you was my first year at DIV, and that's when I met Loy.
Yeah, it was on the Glebe farm, and man, that was DIV 36, and we're up to like DIV 50, almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was either 2015 or something like that, and you guys broke out that dinosaur suit too.
To me, getting to walk in the room and meet those guys was like, I'm not my heroes.
Yeah.
Matt, I'll tell you, when you started, I told you the other day, when you started all your stuff and Loy was listening to your podcast and in some of your videos, he said he's going to go somewhere one day. And he was proud. He was so proud that, like, you started your videos from watching him, and he helped you get into that. And he knew that you had the ability to go as far as you wanted to go. And it's our honor. I mean, I watched the video the other day where we're at your place, the cabin, where what were Dig Dogs, and then Loy, and then you. Man, that was a great time.
I just remember that day walking around and just being like cloud nine. I don't even think I swung a metal detector. I just had a blast. For the folks who are listening, while at this event, we met at the pre-hunt, and I was like, man, I want these guys to come hang out with me. So I have a little place that I stay outside of where a lot of organized hunts are held in Virginia. So we went, and there's a little 1840s cabin, and they were like, man, you've never metal detected here? And I was like, not really. I don't know. You guys, let's go for it. And I just remember walking around and just being so happy to share that experience, and then to share those experiences later on. And then to watch Loy evolve into scuba diving and the passion that he had and bringing those videos to light. And that's just a really special thing for me. We didn't talk as much as I'd like, but that's life. So
life gets in the way. And Matt, I'll tell you, Loy and I, of course, my son was born. Now, I mean, life gets in the way. We all know this. Life gets in the way. My son was born. Okay. Then my wife had a brain cancer, brain tumor. It wasn't, thank goodness it wasn't cancer, but I was going through all this, and then I had to step back from the podcast, from the relic hunting altogether. And I'm so glad that he had Larry to be there to metal detect with him. But when I look back at it now, I didn't know what I had, buddy. I'll tell you, I had no idea what I had in a shepherd as a dear friend. I mean, I've was told stories this past week that everybody knew me as Tennessee Jeff, even the young kids, and I'm like, man, I should have been there in their life the whole time, but you have your own life, but their grandfather during Raymond, he was preaching, and he was talking about him and Loy were throwing rocks, and then he was just using that for example. And the ripples that the rock gives off when it hits the water, Loy, he give ripples off for across across the world. I mean, we had people listen to the podcast from other countries, and his ripples spread. That's how we are connected now. That's why we're here right now talking to each other.
Yep. Yeah, that's great analogy too, and I agree. He touched so many people, and will continue because his legacy lives on in the products he produced, the content he produced, the people like us that are going to remember him and have certain stories and memories we hold on to. Jason, court order, thanks for joining us tonight. You said you would come on tonight and share some Loy stories. I know that I was on your show recently and we talked a lot about Loy, and Loy actually showed up and kind of participated in the chat, and it was
Loy is I've known Loy for almost as old as my channel is, 10 11 years old now. And first I do have to say that I'm incredibly embarrassed for Jeff to do that t-shirt commercial. I mean, I don't even know how he shows his face after that. but with that aside, but no, I mean, I have a story of Loy. I never had the honor of meeting Loy in person, but I think we were friends. We chatted a lot, especially in the early days of YouTube. And the one story that I remember most is when I first spoke with Loy. I guess he had watched one of my videos, which were just terrible back then. And I didn't know what I was finding. I didn't know anything about this stuff. I just enjoyed the process. And Loy commented on a video and he told me this thing that I had that was a mystery to me. I think if I look back, it was probably like I think it was a jaw harp or maybe the back of a pocket watch. It was something common, but if you don't know, you don't know. And so I thanked him. And then I checked out his channel because you can click on the link of who commented. And I play his video and I hear the exact same intro theme song that I use. And I was like, oh no. Now, this was a free song that was in the YouTube library. We just both happened to pick it. We both happened to use the same clip. He may have had it first. I did. But I instantly, messaged him. And I was like, Loy, I don't know if you knew this, but we're using the same exact theme song. And he said, oh, that just means we both have good taste. And I thought, well, that's awesome because, I was new to this. I didn't want to step on his toes. And I kind of felt like he gave me a pass if I made an error. And then about a year later, I started doing like a live show on my channel, probably in like 2016 or 17. I had like 3 or 4 guests on. Jeff Ford was one of them. And I reached out to Loy. And Loy agreed to come on. And I was really excited because he was like a knowledgeable guy and I wanted to pick his brain. And I thought I wanted to do something really special for Loy. So I was like looking him up online, Googling him. And I found out that he wrote a book. He wrote a book called Old Mulkey, which was about like the history of this Mill Creek church in Kentucky. And I thought, well, there it is. Thank you. And I thought, how cool if I had that book when he came on the show. So I went on like Amazon and I went on Abe and I saw the exact one you're showing here, the paperback book. But I had heard in one of his things that he had a few dozen hardcover copies that he made and sold individually. This wasn't like through Simon & Schuster by any means. So I got on the phone and I called around to used bookstores in Kentucky because the hardback wasn't on Amazon, wasn't on Abe. And I finally got a hold of somebody, and I got it here with me, Ken. If you can bring me up for a full screen for just a second.
Yeah.
Because I had to search high and low for the hardback
Wow.
of Old Mookie from Loy, which is very difficult to find. I mean, like you said, a few dozen copies.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh man, he's going to be psyched when he sees this. And when I brought him on the show and I put the picture up, he said, and I'm going to mess up his accent, "Where in the world did you find that?" And it just felt really good to put a smile on his face. So,
Jason, you did mess it up.
Yeah, I know. I don't do the voices like you do, Jeff. Give me your best Loy. Where the heck did you find that? So I still have the book. I mean, almost 10 years later, up on my bookshelf. I wish I would have mailed it to Loy to have him sign it, but at least I got one of the very few copies that he put out. So I'd like to think we were friendly over the years. I wish, like I said, we had a chance to dig together, hang out together. Matt, you might know better than me. My son's name is Reese. I think I found out that Loy's grandson's name is Reese. Is that right?
That's true.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So just little weird things in common, and just always had an appreciation for him. How he forgave me if I grabbed his theme song. And by the way, Ken, too, this book, which is, when I bought it, the price is still in there. I paid $50 for it.
Wow.
Just to knock his socks off. $48.95 plus tax and shipping. So, if that's not dedication to a guest.
But I know he probably super appreciated that. I tell you.
I just wanted to catch him off guard.
And for those that are listening,
if I know Loy would have said $50. You ain't right in the head, boy.
I would have sold it to you for 30. Yeah.
Well, Jason, weren't you a book collector before you got into metal detecting?
I was for like 20
books, right?
Yeah, my office still has shelves. I kind of got out of it, but I still kept a lot of them. So I kind of knew the avenues to go down to try to find scarcer books. You still got to track it down, but I knew the avenues to go, and so at least I was able to get it. Good luck trying to find it. It's tricky.
Yeah. Now, people listening might not know this, and Jason, you released this fact on the show, when I appeared on your show recently. You had a trivia question about Relics Radio, and you asked me where Seven got his nickname. You want to go ahead and talk about that? I know a lot of people know, but people might not in the chat.
They probably know. Well, I didn't know. So when I had him on this live show 10 years ago, I said, I got to know where you got the name Digging with Seven. What does that mean? And he told me that it was his old Little League baseball uniform number. And he kept that nickname for, 50, 60 years later. And I just thought that was awesome that he still held that childhood memory close enough to his heart that, that's the nickname he chose, after kids, grandkids, later in life.
Yeah.
Great story.
I think his son he coached his son in baseball as well. And I think his son even had that same number.
But Austin, grandson. Yep.
Was it his grandson? Yeah.
And he was number 7 too. Man, that man did a lot of things. I'll tell you what, he did a lot of things. Now, Jeff, you told me something, and I hope it's not letting out too personal, but Tennessee Jeff and I were talking earlier this week. It's been so long, Jeff, since you and I talked. So, I apologize. Sorry to take something like this to get us reconnected, but you said Loy actually would quilt here and there.
Well, he had several hobbies, and quilting was one of them. And he loved doing it, and it's one of these deals where he learned to quilt, and if you ever needed that ability, then he had it. So,
didn't he carve? He carved also, didn't he? Seems like he was telling me about a fishing lure he carved one time.
He did make fishing lures. He sure did. And then after he got out of metal detecting a little bit until him and Larry hooked up, he bought him a sawmill, started doing, he was cutting timber and then making, what was it, Larry? It was cutting boards.
did cutting boards, birdhouses, and things like that. I mean, he was a cabinet maker as well. I mean, he used to, all the cabinets in his house he made personally. He had other, he sold cabinets and things along those lines. So yeah, I mean, he's got planers, and I mean, he's quite a craftsman.
Gosh.
Yeah. And I wish I could have got the pictures.
Everything that he did, he went in. I mean, just wholehearted. I mean, it's like the scuba diving thing. I mean, it wasn't like he's just diving. I mean, he's rebuilding regulators. He's, I mean, he's whatever. I mean, it didn't make any difference, dude. It's like he would try to max out his ability to anything that he ever tried.
Yeah, I remember seeing one of his like 1970s Aqualong like double hose rebreathers he had for sale, and I thought to myself, how does this guy go from scuba diving with brand new gear to building something, 10 years older than I am? But you're right. That's how he was. It's interesting.
I gave him my original regulator because I mean I've been diving as long as Loy's been metal detecting. So I mean I had a old Scuba Pro regulator from the the 1970s that I gave him, and he rebuilt it. I even used it after he rebuilt it. It's like it's kind of fun. I gave it to him.
Well, you guys were talking about man of many things. Look at this. He wrote a book about fishing as well.
Yeah, I mean, he was a commercial guide. He was a fishing guide on Dale Hall.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He was a guide. He was actually a guide on Dale Hall.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, he had his in order to charge, you had to be, you had to have a captain's license. So he had his captain's license. So he guided fishing on Dale Hall.
Amazing. Hey, Tony, we had some suggestions for stories of people in the chat, didn't we?
Yeah.
Let's
From Ohio Relic Hunter. This one's for Mark. You should remember the captain of the popsicle stick ship. Mark, does that ring a bell?
Say that again.
Mark should remember the captain of the popsicle stick ship.
Oh no! Oh my gosh!
Oh no!
This should be a good one.
Yeah, it was really interesting. There's a guy from the Netherlands, and honestly, I can't remember his name. And Jeff, you may remember this, but we had him on as a guest, and he actually set a record. He got a bunch of kids. This guy got a bunch of kids together, and they built a boat out of popsicle sticks, and it's a true story. Do you remember that, Jeff?
I can't recall it.
So and of course, Bill Marsh remembers everything. And by the way, Bill Marsh is probably one of the most, like Bill Hayes, from the very beginning, heard all the shows and never really wanted to be a guest on the show. And I think Bill Marsh and I did a show together just to get him on. But this guy actually came to the United States to visit and ended up in St. Augustine. And I was going to go meet him, and my wife and I drove up there. And all I can tell you is we picked him up. We were supposed to meet a bunch of other people at the fort in St. Augustine. Nobody else showed up. And after about an hour, we figured out that there was some serious mental problems with this guy. Some of the stories that he told were just absolutely made up, crazy stories. And all I can think about is I need to figure out how to get away from this guy as fast as possible. But he was a guest on the show. And we did the research on the popsicle stick boat that he built and sailed, and it was a true story. But all the rest of it was just pure fantasy, made up.
Denny's in the chat. I want to say hello to Denny. Good to see you, Denny. Denny has been there right from the beginning too, with Relics Radio, and has always been a big supporter and listener. And he said earlier that he's got a picture somewhere with Mark with a hat on and Bill, and he thought it was when they were hunting for Morgan's Trail.
Probably was.
Yeah. And it's good to see him in here. Yeah, there you go. That's it. Chris Heimsoff, Doctor. Go ahead, Bill.
Oh, I was going to say we did extend an invite to Bill Marsh, and he just wasn't able to commit to being on video with us, but he's checking in the chat with us and everything. He's here.
Well, wait a minute. I got a bone to pick with him on that. So he appeared with Mark Hoover on a show one time, and he will come on with us. Bill, your phone's going to be ringing.
That took a lot of work to get him on that show. Trust me.
Yeah, you did, Mark. You did.
Yeah. We're gonna have to talk after the show, and you're gonna have to let me know the secret with this guy.
I got to hunt with him in Ohio, but and I got one picture with him, so he does exist. He's like Sasquatch. He does exist, though. I've seen him.
Hey, Tony, he's just like a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
You know, nobody can see him. He's he just disappears.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, he's not on video.
Yeah. Did we talk about his grandma's cats yet?
We did.
Chris Heimsoff has that question and stuff. But so Larry, earlier, Larry, you were talking about your last hunt with him, and Tony was able to pick up that picture. You want to kind of revisit that story and
I don't know. I'm not sure I can.
Well,
Perfectly honest.
Work your way through it.
All right. Well, I will add that there is one missing 44 caliber bullet that is 6 foot under with him.
Amen.
I added that on my way out, and but those are those come with the 44 wood. Those are the last relics that Loy and I dug together.
Well,
I'm going to be honest, man. What an epic way to
right.
And I watched every single 44 caliber woods bullet video there ever was, and if there was a place to dig one last time, holy crap,
that would be it.
Well,
man.
to add to that, and there is where Jeff and even where I went the first time, I don't know, it's on the other side of there's kind of a hilltop there. And the back side of that was never available. And the land had actually been sold, and he ended up with permission to be able to hunt the back side of that hillside. That's where that. So that area had never been hunted. So
wow, I didn't realize that. Yeah. So the land was it being sold, and he got permission.
Yep. It's on the where we all parked and went in on the front side of it, and where the actual woods part of it. This is over the top of the hill, and it was all field and thing. And it's going to be developed. There's going to be houses built in there, like a lot of places we end up losing to be able to hunt.
Well, I don't think Loy would care if we went back there.
Oh, he made the point when I went to see him the last time to make sure I bought my metal detector with him. I said, "Boy, I'll spend my time with you because it's just too dang hot to go up there and try to dig some holes."
Well, see, as a tribute now, you two got to go clean it out. That's what you got to go do.
I'm sure we could probably get the opportunity. One of his, I don't remember which one of his relatives, lives in the house that's next to that area. So, and I don't remember who it is. Well, one of his grandkids or kids, or I don't have a clue. They weren't there at the time, so I didn't get the chance to talk to them, know who exactly was. We parked at their house and walked up the hill.
Well, I know that this was a tribute to Loy, and we didn't want to talk about individual finds, not necessarily, but Larry, I have got to see that 8 real you found with Loy at some kind of steamboat landing. I got to hear that story.
Okay. Well, the landowner was very gracious. We've hunted his farm. Jeff has been on part of his farm as well. But he told Loy about this supposedly where the steamboat landing was, on the Cumberland River. So, we take off down there, and we're swinging away and whatever, and and we're finding absolutely nothing. There's nothing in that field, and I get a little beep, and I end up digging up a flat butt, and about 5 or 6 feet away from this thing, all of a sudden, I hit this absolutely screaming tone, and I'm going, Lloyd, listen to this, because I don't remember who was talking about the fact that we don't wear headphones, we're all listening to everybody else speak, whatever, and he comes running over there, and I stick my shovel in the ground and just kind of turn over some dirt, and he drops down with a pin pointer, and he goes, oh, well, you saw it on the video. I said, oh my God, it's an 8 real. So and that was the only thing we found, up and down that whole river, that riverbank, was that one little old beat up flat button in that 8 real. Nothing else on that bottom.
That's metal detecting. Isn't that amazing? Like that thing just sitting there waiting for you guys to come along.
That thing is gorgeous.
Uncover it. And that is a big Tony.
The man's button. Oh,
go
sorry.
Go ahead.
Button come off. The man's button come off his shirt, and that's how the Riel fell out.
in typical Loy fashion, and as gracious as he is, and he's helped me so much with metal detecting, he said, I am so glad that you found that instead of me. And he meant it. He really did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's never found one. And it's just that it's how gracious of a person he is. I'm just so glad that you found that and not me.
Wow. Hold that up for us. You got that in front of you, don't you?
Oh, yeah. It stays on my desk all the time. It pretty much never moves off my desk. I don't know if I can get the glare off of it or not, but
that's a big chunk of silver right there. My gosh. Look at that thing.
There we go.
There you go. Look how big that thing is, man.
It's a pretty big chunk of silver.
Holy cow.
Congratulations on that one.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Great find.
That is very special.
That would make my hand shake for sure.
And I am going to. I've already talked to my wife about it, or whatever. But that's going to get once I'm done, it's going to get returned to the landowner.
Very nice. Very nice, for sure. Wow. I know that, and some of you may know, I don't know which one it was, but it's one of the first times I think I saw it, but Relics Radio was at either a DIV or maybe one of the Chattanooga show. But it was the first time, I think, and Plugmaster Ford, you may know this, they went live on video. So they were live, of course, on the podcast because they did all their podcasts live. But they actually hooked up a camera. I think Plugmaster Ford was involved in that, and they tried to hook up a camera. I remember I'm sitting in my office or in my front room and listening to the audio podcast, and then saw it pop up as a live stream on somebody's channel, maybe Jeff's. And I know I was watching them, and then I picked up the phone to call into the podcast. So I'm calling into the podcast, talking to them while also watching them interact with me on the phone. And I think it was one of the first times I saw that whole setup, and I thought it was really special. I thought, because I think I remember, I think Jeff, you were like going, that's DK, to Loy, and he was going, yeah, I know who that is. And, kind of all the whole behind the scenes thing was being shown, and that was a real special thing. I thought I got a real big kick out of that. I thought that was cool and very, very early pioneering, in my opinion.
Yeah, I told Loy that and that was at a DIV, I believe, and I told him, I said, your show is great. Why don't you video it? And he said, well, because it's a podcast. I said, so? I said, it don't matter. You can make it a video cast if you want, if that's what you want to call it. And I said, well, here, I'll just stream it. He's like, well, how are we going to hook everything up? I said, we're not. We're just going to stream it. And so that's how that came about. And he called me later and he goes, well, that's a lot easier than I thought it was. And I said, all you got to do is turn the camera on and pipe the audio through the camera, through a board or something. And so that's what he started. He's still, though, Jeff can tell you, he was old school. He loved technology, though. He really did. He loved it. He embraced it. But in his heart, he was old school. And just like that, it's a podcast. You can't video a podcast. Otherwise, it's not a podcast. So I told him, I said, you can do whatever you want to do, Lloyd. Just do it.
Yeah. So, we'll listen to this. Check this out. Go ahead, Tom.
And you are live, July the 26th, 2018. You are listening to Relics Radio live from Southern. Well, I tell you what, we're all in the South here tonight. We are going to be in Georgia. We're going to be in Alabama. We're going to be in Tennessee, and we're going to be in Kentucky. And I tell you what, folks, if y'all are not saying y'all by the time you get to the end of this show, you hadn't listened, because you're fixing to get a heavy dose of redneck tonight.
I always remember Loy used to say, we're just a couple rednecks with a microphone, right, Jeff? Is that what he said?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Rednecks. And of course, two rednecks with a metal.
There it is.
Yeah.
Ken, I wonder where the line in America is drawn where up north you no longer say fixin'. Around Maryland?
Probably, yeah. Of course, Ohio, Indiana, yeah. I mean, up in that area, they stopped saying it. So,
I had been co-hosting with him on the show for a little while, and I remember I did the mortal sin. I left my ringer on my cell phone one night, and while we're doing the show, all of a sudden my phone rings, and I go reaching for it real quick and shut it off and shut it up. And after the show, Lloyd goes, "So the next show we do, make sure you turn your ringer off."
Oh, no.
I was like, "Oh, I'm in trouble with Lloyd now. I got my phone ringer on."
Hey, I guarantee you, because any of us who'd been around Lloyd long enough had said something where he, and Jeff, you can vouch for this, where he does this look. Something like that. He'd roll that up. First time I ever saw it was the first time we met. And of course, you guys know I kind of like to cut up some. And he came over and he started talking to me. And I asked him, I said, "Where are you from? New York City?" And he gave me the look. I know he just laughed. So
I think that's probably one of the reasons we got along so well, because I picked up on that really quick and I just messed with him all the time. He didn't ever know where I was going. Yeah. I kept him on his toes.
Yeah. Tennessee Jeff, do you have any of your favorite memories with him? Anything stand out that, I mean, I know it's just a tremendous amount, so I'm being unfair to you to kind of pick on you here and have you pick a couple.
Yeah, well, I was thinking earlier today, favorite memory. I really don't have one, but I mean, it wasn't the relics. It was just being in the woods with him. And of course, we loved our thickets, don't get me wrong. And the thicker it was, the better he loved it. And then I'm like, we were scarred all to pieces by the time we got out of the thickets he loved. I guess.
I'm going to interrupt you, Jeff, because I was when we were at DIV, I think the first time we ever met. You know, we're out in the middle of 500, 600, 800 acres of this prettiest cut farm fields you've ever seen in your life. And I see Jeff the next day, and Jeff looked like he had gotten in a fight with a wildcat. He had cuts on his face. His arms were cut up. And Lloyd just smiling. He said, "We found a big old button." I said, "Where the hell did y'all go?" He said, "We found this thicket on the other side of the farm." I said, "How?" There's 1,000 acres of cut farm fields. So that's one of my favorite memories of all time, because I remember that morning and that day. And of course, y'all found an incredible button, but
yeah, it was that was when I found the Virginia button, I think. Yeah. But either way, it did. No one else wants to go to the thickets, and it's too hard to get to. Especially with the GPX and all that, it's hard to swing. But we would get in there and dig in the thickets because we know no one else wants to go there but us rednecks with the metal detector. So.
Yeah,
them boys ain't all there.
That's right. Yep.
Yep. That's gonna haunt me for the rest of my life. Man. I'm gonna be hearing yip in my. Thank you, Plug Master. I'll tell you. Man, that's going to stay with me for a long time. Yeah. Wow. I never got a chance to hunt with him, man. I really wish I had. We talked a lot about technology and this and that. I know that when Spreaker stopped allowing live content where we would have a live chat, I know that him and I talked a lot about it, about what the next step was going to be. And at first, Tony and I looked around and tried to find a comparable equal to Spreaker, and there really isn't. There really isn't. They all are going away with that because of the storage capabilities, maybe the bandwidth, the server power, whatever. But it's they're just going to pre-recorded. We found a couple services that were still offering it, but it was terrible. It was just terrible. I wouldn't want to do that. So coming over to this video format and then uploading audio later was kind of our best hope to kind of keep it something similar. And yeah, I think it really kind of made him sad. Like he was sad to see that go. But I just, we didn't want to just pre-record everything and post the audio. There was the whole interaction, right? Tennessee Jeff, with the chat group down below, you get the same 20, 30, whatever people showing up week after week. And, it's a lot of fun. You get to know those people just by the comments, and some of them are quite comical. Like it's hard to kind of keep a straight face when you're interviewing somebody. I mean, it's that live element was important to you guys, wasn't it, Jeff?
It sure was. Mark Hoover, he helped a lot with the chat. And of course, other than booking our guest, and of course, thank you very much, Mark. You were a big plus to the Relics. You just know. But either way, Mark would go through the text and he would keep up with it. And of course, I was having problems just keeping up with everything on the screen myself. And then I'd get a text, and then Mark would be like, okay, such and such asked a question, go to this one and go to this one. And then at this time, Loy was texting me, and we would go back and forth. But I mean, yeah, the live stream, I mean, it was nice. It really was. I mean, you could answer the question right then, and then it was a lot.
Can I share a story about Loy?
Sure thing.
Absolutely.
Well, I got two. A quick one is we were at one of the Butch's shows, and I think this was in Chattanooga, Jeff. But I had a backpack sitting on a table, and we were getting ready to leave, and I picked up that backpack, and I thought I was going to fall. I mean, this thing was heavy. I was like, man, I didn't put that much stuff in my backpack.
I'll be right back.
I started walking out, and Jeff and Loy are just over there just guffawing. And it turned out, I don't know, what was it, a parrot shell? It was like a 20-pound parrot shell in the bottom of my backpack that they had put in there. They were looking to see how far I was going to walk with it. They do have a sense of humor, I can tell you that. But one of my favorite memories, I was at Loy's house. My wife was there, and he gave me a case of finds that he had, bullets and buttons. I mean, I was blown away. He said, Mark, I want to give this to you. I said, you got to be kidding. And he said, no. He said, listen, we can't take all this stuff. Yeah, there it is. That's the one, isn't it, Jeff?
It is. Exactly one. Same one.
Oh, my God.
So he gave me this case of some of his finds, and I was just like, Loy, I can't take this. I said, these are all your finds. And he said, I mean, a lot of them. And he said, Mark, he goes, I got a bunch of stuff. He goes, but I really want you to have this. And just remember, we can't take any of this stuff with us. And so what's the most important is the friendships that we make and the people that we influence along the way. So I still have that display, and I've just, it's just, I always remember that, and what he told me about, hey, you can't take this with you, And so when people ask me if I'm on a podcast or something, you probably heard me say, my greatest finds are, first of all, my wife, and then second, the friendships I've made in the hobby. But I learned a lot of that from Loy.
Yeah, he was teaching whether we knew it or not. You know what I mean? He always was. I know that we would talk after all the podcasts and chat about stuff and talk about how the guest was and what we learned from it and not. And I mean, he was always positive. He was always up, and he was always willing to point out all the positives of the guests we just had. And it would always make me think. I'd get off the podcast and I'd go on with my night, and his words would always ring in my ears, like, you know, thinking about what he said until the next time we met. So I agree, Mark. It is. I'm right there with you. It's all about the friends we make. I mean, look, we're all on tonight talking about Loy and sharing very similar stories. And
you know, I want to share. Yeah, if I can for a second, it's getting dark here, as you can tell. I look like I'm hiding. I'm driving, going 70. Stupid, but I got to get home. Anyway, so I got to tell you. So, and Jeff remembers. And Jeff, what was that? What was the field we were hunting out there? It was a place where they brought the troops before they were going out.
Yeah, right next to the where West found the 1850.
Yep. So,
okay.
So they invite us out, and that's when I took that display case of his that shattered.
Yeah, that was shattered.
Yeah. So we go out and we hunt this, and we're hunting it with the GPX. Well, Wes Stringer went with me, and I know a lot of people don't understand this, but, you know, Wes found that big old silver hoard, and then he brought me in, and we dug the mess out of it. Wes was still pretty new to detecting. So almost every coin we found was a new one for him. You know, it was a new something that he found, and they were all bucket listers. So after that dig, we'd pretty much covered most of what we were going to find, and we went out there and hunted with them. Well, while we're there, a neighbor comes over, kind of asking what we were doing. And Jeff gets to talking with him and Wes, and the guy said, well, I own some land back here, and there's an old cemetery. And so Wes and Jeff, next thing we knew, they were gone. They were packed up and rode off with this guy. And so Loy and I were over there still digging, using the GPXs, digging some bullets and things like that. And pretty soon, and this right here hit me so hard as I looked at Loy and I thought, he gets it. This is what it's about. And so my phone rings and it's Wes. You know, we can't see him. They're a long ways off. And Wes is talking. He's hard to understand because he's pretty doggone excited. And he's talking about a bucket lister, and he keeps going on and going on and going on. Well, Loy's standing, you know, not far from me, but Wes is talking loud. He's pretty jacked up. And anyway, long story short, he tells me what he dug, what was it, 1861 seated dime or half dime?
It was 1854, I believe.
Okay, 1854. It was a seated dime, not a half dime. Yeah, it was a seated dime. And after I hang up the phone, Loy looks at me and he goes, you got goosebumps too? And I said, yeah, I do. And just, you know, not knowing, Loy didn't even know what it was that he found. But the fact that, you know, that Wes was so excited, and you could hear it, you know, he couldn't understand what Wes was saying, but he could hear his excitement. And he got goosebumps. And I thought, you know what? This is someone I want to hunt with forever. This is a guy who gets it, you know. Get excited for everyone else. It's not about the find for you. It's about getting out, having fun, and enjoying each other's company.
Yeah. Yeah, amen to that.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said. Wow.
Well, I'm gonna ask you this, Ken, because it's about to get dark on me, and I got a light on in my rig to drive. Do you care if I get off here and watch the rest of the show on YouTube?
Not at all, man. And everyone else on the panel as well. You guys need to go. We just are going to sit around like a campfire and talk. Jeff, thank you very much for putting your life at risk for us going down the road there. Yeah.
Normal Jeff.
I'm going to go ahead and exit. I'm going to go ahead and exit out too.
You can exit too, Mark. Okay.
I really appreciate you having us on. I mean, I love hearing all these stories again, and I forgot a lot of them, but it's being on here with everybody. And I think I've hunted with just about everybody here except for maybe Larry, and I've heard so many stories about Larry from Loy that.
Were you in Murfreesboro, Arkansas at Dig for Chig?
No, I was not.
All right.
Yeah. But you got to come out to Colorado too, Mark. I
hunted with you guys in I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago out there in Colorado.
Yeah. Out at the, let me see, I think it was who was out there? Stealth Digger boys came out for that one, didn't they?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was a lot of fun. But
so
yeah, you're welcome. Head on out. I appreciate all your stories, Mark. You're
thanks, Mark.
Really part of the history here with Loy and Jeff and Relics Radio, and we just loved your stories. Thank you so much for coming on.
All right, thanks for having me, guys. Thanks, everyone.
I'll talk to you next week, Mark.
All right, I'll call you, Jeff.
And I'll be sending your contract, Mark.
Almost got him.
Matt, did you ever dive with Loy?
I never did. It's funny. Jeff sent me some news, and I was out diving, and then the next day, I received the news of Loy passing away, and I thought, man, how appropriate. This guy loves to dive, and I got into it late, but man, I would have loved to gone it and played it around in some, to me, what's clean water. With his,
look at that. He actually could see that through the camera.
Oh, I know. I mean, that's beautiful stuff there. I would have loved to gone and explore Dale Hollow with him. And I think it was fantastic. Super, super cool stuff.
Yeah.
He definitely enjoyed diving. There's no question about that. And, I was always concerned about it because he didn't. He would never go very deep, but he didn't mind diving by himself at all.
No. Oh, we have a lot in common then, because maybe except for the deep part, but I don't have a problem going by yourself. If you know what you're doing, you're good to go.
Leave that one up, Tony. I mean, right there. Look at that. I mean, he always encouraged his grandkids to kind of get into stuff he was into. That's just awesome. Kind of passing it on. I know he just really encouraged them to look like they always had fun on the boat. You know what I mean? Right there. I mean, look at that. Rayna and the kids enjoying town. Yeah, look at that. In the wind.
He would he owned more oxygen tanks than anybody that I know for one man. Every time I would talk, I got some more tanks. I got this, I got that. And I was fortunate enough to go with him one time. Of course, I'd done the hookah deal. And so got in the wetsuit and then got down. And then, of course, it was leaking. My tank was leaking. And then, of course, that's the first time I'd ever done it. And I'm like, is this good? He said, we'll just tighten it up a little bit more and see if it'll. And he said, it was still bubbling a little bit. And he said, that'll be fine. And I was like, okay. Of course, I didn't get very deep at all. I mean, it was probably about 6 foot. But, I mean, it was so – I thought I would be so scared to be up underwater like that. But it's so peaceful. It's unreal. It's a different world. And you would fan the sand. We were hunting an old home site. And you would move the rocks, and the fish would just be all around you. It's a different world, man. It really is. I wished I was able to witness it more.
I got a question, guys. Jeff, you would, I guess, know. Was Loy into diving early on, or did he get into that later in life?
Later in life.
I think I remember the video transitions when he was hunting land, and then in my mind he started doing training underwater, and he was going until I guess he had enough credits or however that works. And then it seems like, man, that's all he was doing. It really seemed like it became an incredible passion for him.
Just like everything he does. I mean, he just keeps, goes full bore on everything he did. Yeah. Because as he was getting his certification, he wasn't able to he didn't have his actual certification card. So he couldn't get his tanks filled. So, one of the things I was doing going with him before he was ever actually certified, I'd use my certification card to get the tanks filled. So that's how, he was started out, like I said, I mean, I've been diving since the mid '70s, and by the time of Loy, I guess that's probably about when he started metal detecting. But so
were you his influence?
I doubt it.
No, he wanted to get into it.
Talked about it and things, but I don't. I'm not really sure what fired him on him, and he never gave me any credit for it of any kind.
He probably said a commercial or something, and then somebody was scuba diving. He said, "I want to do that." At 70 years old is when he first started scuba diving. So,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's inspiring though, because I've always wanted to do it. Maybe I'll take after Loy and give it a try later in life. Like
just do it right. When you get your certification, get a good dive instructor to go with it.
Going down with Matt Howe. Are you kidding me?
Let's go. What Larry's going to follow up was don't go diving with that guy.
Go jump in with much weight. You'll be
Larry said, "Do not go with Matt Howe."
See, I like clear water. I don't know about having all them lights and then you can't see your hand in front of your face.
You want to talk about tanks? Just go take a look at Matt Howe's garage sometime. Yeah, he's got some tanks there.
We got a bit of a problem.
I remember Loy we used to talk about YouTube also, like after the podcast and such and beforehand. And I remember when his diving videos started doing better than his metal detecting videos, as far as the number of views and stuff. And he was so impressed by it. He was like, "Man, that video got X amount of views. I don't know." He goes, "But I got to do more of them, you know?" And I said, "Yeah, you should. You know, there's a lot of intrigue there." So he did. He started really putting everything into all his eggs into that basket.
You know, the Eddie Irons video was like one of his best ones. And then for some reason, I have no idea. He had one of his dive videos just went viral, and I mean it was crap. There was nothing. I had no idea. I guess YouTube got the pimping it or something other, and I mean it just blew all the other ones away. But his Eddie Irons with the old Schoolhouse.
Schoolhouse, yeah.
One of his best dive videos. We got together and kind of mapped that out. Eddie, died on his 18th birthday from a horse. He's buried in the front of that schoolhouse.
Yeah.
And they tried to, when they impounded the lake, they tried to blast him out with dynamite, and they finally just gave up and said, "Oh, we'll just fill the lake up and don't worry about Eddie. Eddie can just stay here."
I mean, that just shows you that video had everything, man. It had a story to it, had intrigue, had mystery, had a little bit of sort of the macabre. It had underwater adventure, explorer. It touched many bases, which is why that video did so well. You know what I mean?
It did. It was good. It was a good documentary.
Yeah. Yeah. He loved making videos, and he was always really interested in, I know I featured him a lot on my Weekly Dirt show, and that's kind of, I think, initially how we kind of started getting to know each other a bit. And Larry, earlier this week, you and I talked for kind of one of the first times, right? We kind of chatted. We've been wanting to get you and Loy on to talk about that $8 find, and gosh darn it, we didn't get it done. But I'll tell you what, I was talking to you and you were telling about this last hunt, and you showed me that picture, and you hadn't said where you guys were. And in my head, I'll always remember the term, the 44 Woods, because that was always prevalent. And I was just waiting for you to take a break in your story to me so that I could say, and where were you guys at? And I was praying, Larry, that you would say 44 Woods. And when you said that, oh my God, I got goosebumps all over when you said that to me. I don't know if you know that or not, but I was like, yes. Oh my gosh, that's so fitting.
It was very special to me because, like I said, that was the first place that Loy and I went hunting, and it was the last.
Yeah. How fitting.
Yeah.
How fitting. You talk about
honestly, it wasn't that many weeks ago. I mean, he was doing pretty good from his treatment and feeling pretty good. And he said, "Come on, let's go dig some holes." And I said, "Heck yeah, let down." So we went out, and he got tired pretty quick, but that's the reason I was, he was making beeping noises, and I was helping him dig holes.
Tony, did you see that comment from Ill Digger, Tim?
What?
Tim's comment starred.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yep. Speaking of Loy's Southern talk, I always got to chuckle when Loy said the word coin.
Coin.
Who has the best example of that?
Yeah. Probably Jeff Plugmaster 4, but he's no longer on with us.
Yeah. I can't argue with it.
Yeah.
Butch says a good Southern Co one too.
One. That's crazy. Well,
Guys,
Bill,
it's a very nice tribute. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. I know. I really appreciate having you guys on here tonight to talk about Loy. Bill, you got any other memories of Loy? Did you ever get a chance to go out digging with him? You said you hadn't, right?
Yeah, I got to dig with him one time at DIV. I think it was Brandy Rock.
Okay.
We was up there on that one hill there by the silo.
Did you ever get in any thickets with him?
No, never got no thicket with him.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
He didn't drag you into it, huh?
He was not a fan of snakes. He had he was pretty cautious of the snakes.
I didn't know nothing from briars at all, being from Colorado.
Right.
We get into the underclearing.
Jeff, you were at that hunt, weren't you?
I was.
Yeah. That was for folks who don't know me, that the photo of me it's a photo of me and Loy as my profile picture right now, and will always be one of my favorite photos from that hunt. Man, I remember meeting some other YouTubers who will never hold who are famous in the YouTube world, but aren't the same pedestal as Tennessee Jeff and Loy digging with 7. But fantastic guys in their own right, and digging holes with those guys and being on the same hillside, and that's one of the places that was the absolute find of. I didn't find it, but there it is. That's
wonderful.
Absolutely grinning like a bag full of possum heads, and enjoying the time of my life. But just finding one of the most incredible finds I've ever been a part of, and watching Loy with that find later in the evening in their hotel room and deciphering. And the find was actually a Civil War soldier's ID tag. And the excitement that he had and he shared for that is the same. That's what's been spoken of earlier from other people's finds, or, what Plugmaster Ford said or Jeff said. And those are the memories I certainly will hold very, very dear. That was what an incredible time that was to see that, to not only be a part of it, but to witness it from a different perspective of standing outside and seeing someone so excited to see that history. And it was a really, really cool time.
And talking about history, I got to share this with y'all. Jason Court Order, I was on his show here a little while back, and he was asking some great questions, by the way. He did a great interview. I was watching that back. You did a lot of research, man. You asked me one of my most memorable times of being on Relics Radio, and it came from when I was on with Loy one time. And I want to share this with you, because to this day, it still just blows my mind. We had a gentleman that has been listening to the show for many years, and he ended up calling in. We had a call-in number at the time, and his name was Michael Holbrook. And he actually called in one night, and he started talking to us about this item.
Milam.
Oh, yeah. So that was Loy's great-grandfather's belt plate. Or belt, I guess it wasn't a belt buckle, right? That's more of a plate, right? With W.M. Milam on it, and that's his great-great-grandfather's. His unit passed through this area where this Michael Holbrook was during the war, and he had been listening to the show. He knew of Loy, he knew of Loy Milam, and he was digging this area, and he found this. And from listening to the show, he knew that Loy's great-grandfather or great-great-grandfather had come through this area. So he called the show one night and talked about that he had found this plate, and he was able to return this to Loy, to return it to his family. And I'll never forget that. The reach, I never forget it, because it really, that's when my aha moment that said, wow, this is truly a community. This podcast is reaching people that you just never know who it's reaching, right? Whether they're downloading the show in some other country, or they're just down the street, or they're just in the same county, or they've been listening maybe once or twice or whatever. The reach of this show reaches the ears to where something like this could happen. You know what I mean? Like, what are the odds of a listener of the show coming across, knowing who Loy, knowing enough story of Loy Milam, and where he talked about his great grandfather coming through with his unit, to be able to identify kind of this, and be able to get this back to him. It's just pretty amazing. Pretty amazing to me. Yeah. So that I'll never forget that blew me away. I was speechless that night. And yeah.
Did that happen live on the show, Ken? Like a call in? You didn't.
Yes.
You had no preconceived notion on that.
No, we didn't screen calls. I mean, one of the benefits of doing this sort of thing is we can put people down in the green room, and we can kind of, have bring people up when we want to bring them up. Back then, when we had the call in, right, Jeff? We just
we did.
It would be a who's this? You know what I mean?
See, there for a while, it was Relic Roundup, and Relic Radio had the same number, so it was like,
yeah.
If you're in Loy's contact list, he knew who was calling. If you weren't, it was a guess.
Yeah, yeah, yep. It was. I'm sure he gets the calls and like, who, what caller am I? Am I live? He said he'd get a call. He said he'd get a call, and they'd be like, "Am I on the show?"
Yeah, and a lot of the numbers that we knew personal, we would have them in our phone, and then it would show up on the phone, and then, but a lot of numbers, like, you had no idea, and then of course we had a guy, he kept on calling in, and come to find out it was a teenager just bugging the crap out of us. And then we got it where, Loy got it where that number was no longer available to call Relics Radio. And I don't know how he done it, but Loy, he could go around and do this and do that. I don't know how he done it, but.
Yeah, Denny put in a comment. So that's what Metal Texan is all about: returning what we can to those they belong to, and saving history. If we don't do it, who will? Yeah, you're right there, Denny.
Yep. Nailed it.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention real quick, Chris he said if we could post the link to that show with the buckle. We'll have to do a little bit of research and get that link. I don't have that on hand right now.
Yeah, we didn't pull that. I mean, I remember the show. I don't remember what episode it was from. And I forgot the name of the gentleman, but recently when I put kind of my announcement on my Facebook page that Loy had passed, that gentleman, Michael, actually commented and put a picture of that plate. And I hadn't seen it since back then when we were talking about it. But
that plate was at the funeral home.
It was.
They had a display set up. It had our Relics Radio thing that Earl Scholl had bought me and Loy at Tennessee Jeff and Digger was 7. And then, of course, he had some relics, some goggles, just different hobby stuff. All of his hobbies were up there, and that plate was up there on top.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow. Incredible.
Wow. So amazing.
It is an incredible story, you have to admit. There's a whole thing for that all to come together.
I can imagine, it was a audio only podcast, but I can picture Loy's face hearing this guy, and his jaw probably just dropped to the ground. Like, what are the odds of someone finding it, tracking him down, and telling him live during a show? Yeah. Like, he just gets so caught up with emotion in that time.
Oh, it was
an incredible feeling.
So what a lot of people don't know that listen to the show is we used to do it on Skype. And so even though people were only listening to audio, we would be visually with each other, similar to now, but we wouldn't put out the video. So we could see each other and give each other clues. And Loy would be like, "You're next," or but before that, even I think Jeff was saying earlier, like they would send texts back and forth, like, Jeff, you go next and you tell the story next and stuff. And, but yeah, I mean, when that story came in, it was just silent. Like I was waiting for Loy to go, "Oh, your kid," but it was silent.
I remember 1200 baud dial-up AOL too. Come on.
Dial-up AOL. Boy, that's good. That's aging you there, Larry. That's taking you back, man.
I'm sure on that show, like Tennessee Jeff was saying, you get some people in there that are calling just to get their rocks off or doing whatever and interrupting the show. And somebody calls and says, "Hey, I've got something from your great grandfather." I'm sure it was like, is this for real? I mean, because it's one in a lifetime type of opportunity. Is this guy for real? Is this really going on with no verification beforehand, not being able to see a picture of it, and just kind of off the cuff? And that guy calls in. That had to be just been. How do you even deal with those emotions of up and down on that?
No.
So I don't know about you guys, man. I don't know if you guys have a lot of items from your great grandfathers. I know I don't. And if somebody were to knock on my door and say, I found this World War I dog tag with your dad's name on it,
right?
With your great grandfather's name on it, it would. I don't know what I would do, but I know I'd be very touched. And thankfully, I've had some experiences of returning things like that. I know that Adam Zajac and he found a World War I dog tag in New York, and we tracked down. I helped him track down a surviving great grandson, and contacted the guy. Didn't know who I was. Told him what was going on. Told him I was gonna, if he gave me his email, I would hook those two up so they can make the exchange and everything. And he was very leery. He thought I was going to try to sell something to him, this gentleman. But after they did all that, I got another message from the guy, and I'll never forget it. And he goes, "Ken, you know what? Like, we don't have anything from him. We didn't know very much about him. And now because of this, we have this World War I dog tag, and we kind of know his kind of travels now and when he went over to Europe." And he said, "Do you know that me and all my brothers are military? And we just really never knew that about him. So to now have this dog tag in, and him and his brothers are like heavy duty military family. And to have this dog tag now," he goes, "it has brought numerous people from our family together, just this one item." And then a couple weeks later, I get this random email from this lady, and she's like, "I am the cousin of so-and-so that you sent that dog tag, or you helped get that dog tag to. And I can't tell you how much that has meant to not only that family, but our extended family." Like, that's all we've been talking about. And it's like, wow, that is just cool. That is just cool. Hits you right there. You know what I mean? To know that kind of stuff.
Imagine, Ken, if you fast forward, 2, 3, 4 generations in the future, Loy's great grandkids, instead of just having a plate, will have this video library to see their great grandfather walk, talk, feel his passion. That's one of the great things about the technology, is that it's out there for your future descendants to really get a peek into who you are as a person. And I know Loy, stand-up guy, those future great grandkids are going to be really proud and enamored of what he accomplished.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said. Because a
lot of documentation. It's true.
A lot of it. They'll be able to kind of really get a taste of who their great grandfather was.
Yeah.
They might need a dictionary for some of the southern words he uses, but
what's a coin? What's a coin?
There's a lot of fixins in there too.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys, we're getting towards the end. I want to thank y'all for coming on with us. And for those of you in the chat, stay tuned. We got some very special words from Loy coming up here to end the show from the man himself. But I'll go around the horn. What we'll do is just some last comments real quick. Put you guys down in the green room. We'll say our goodbyes off the air if you're okay with that, if you're willing to hang out a little bit longer. But Jason, we'll start with you.
Well, like I said, I never had the pleasure of meeting Loy in person, but I like to think, doing this YouTube thing, we developed a friendship, different parts of the country, live in different parts of life, speaking in different vernacular, but we found that common ground through a hobby we loved. He was, much smarter than me, much more knowledgeable, but he never treated me poorly. He helped me out early on. I was always appreciative. And, he always left an impact on me. When I saw, I think it was your post, Ken, that he passed. I mean, it just hits you. For a guy that I've never shaken his hand, he still left an impression. When I saw it, like, your heart sinks for a second. So I want to thank Loy for helping me out, for touching everybody's lives out there. And I want to offer my condolences to his family, his wife, his kids, his grandkids. If he left that kind of a mark on me, I can't imagine the mark he left on them. So you will be missed, Loy. And I thank you for everything you did.
Thanks, Jason. Really well said. You're going to choke me up, man. Bill Hayes, we'll let you have a little word here.
Yeah, I really liked Loy. He was just a one of a kind guy. He had the voice that he's like a professional announcer or something. You heard him and you knew who he was all the time. He's just a real great guy, and I really liked hanging out with him at the relic shows, just getting to talk to him and just hanging out.
Yeah.
And he is definitely going to be missed. It's, it was just one of a kind.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said for sure. Yeah. Tony, what about you, buddy? You've been producer tonight, man, and I appreciate it. You've been hanging in there and just taking care of everything behind the scenes. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I just want to, I think with a lot of people, I've never met Loy. I've never got to detect with Loy, but through his graciousness of kind of passing on this podcast and the opportunity for me to be able to be on the podcast now has given me such a platform to reach out to other people and talk with people about this hobby that I absolutely love. And I really want to thank him for that, for sure. He probably didn't know that that's what he did for me, but he did. So
yeah,
I appreciate him a lot.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Matt, what would you like to say, buddy?
Oh man, I'm just a footnote in this small story that guy was, and still will forever be. I kind of would just reiterate everything that those guys said. Thanks for the inspiration, and bubbles up, my friend.
Perfect, man. Perfect. Larry?
I miss a true friend. And I don't know, guys, it was a real pleasure for him to everything he did for me, especially from the standpoint of the introduction to relic hunting, and I was so honored to be on the last hunt with him together.
Yeah, that is a very special memory, and I'm glad you got that, Larry. So thank you very much. Thank you. Jeff, I wanted to give you the last word. You spent a lot of time with as well, you and Larry both.
You never know what you have until it's gone. Loy and I, we've rode the roads, shows here, shows there. We've tumbled through the thickets. And he's talked about his music and all that. But at the end of the day, the Lord is what he loved the most. All the rest of this activities, hobbies, are nothing without the Lord. And that was his main focus. And that is what he's taught me. And I wish I still have questions. Of course, I'm sure everyone does, but I would love to still have him here, but I don't. But I'm so happy and honored to have him as a friend as long as I did.
Yeah. Amen. Wonderful. All right. Hang down below. We'll say our goodbyes here off the air. I can't add any more to that. What special friends he had. And I'm just glad I count myself one of them. So let's hear from Loy, though, as he takes us out of the show tonight. And for everyone that showed up, or for everyone that's listening on the replay, thank you very much. I know you all meant a lot to Loy as well, and we will never forget him. So let's listen to Loy as we head our way out here.
Our Father and our God in heaven, we get so excited when we open your book. excited because of the power we see in those words, excited because we see the answers in those words, excited, Father, for we realize that we have very little, if any, control over our physical lives. We can go to our doctors. We can take our medication. We can go through the exercises that they want us to go through. But Father, eventually, it's going to be you making the decision as to how long that we physically live upon this life. But here is another thing, Father. We join with you in a decision as to how long we will live in eternity with you. We help make that decision by the decisions that we make in this life. They are hard decisions sometimes. It's hard many times for us to maintain our faith, to keep our equilibrium in a world that is so confusing sometimes. So, Father, we ask for greater faith, greater strength. Be with us. Forgive us any sin that might separate us, so that you might even hear this prayer we offer here tonight. For we offer it in Jesus' name. Amen.